and my computer is broken, so we are going to be using this one. So let me look at this. All right, here we go. So this is the document. It'll also say my brother's name because I'm using his computer. So just to clarify, I am Scott Alberty, and this is my list section. All the, you know, sources I'm using. So this first section is called World Atlas. It comes from the standard locate major cities in Missouri, the United States, and the world, states of the United States, and key world nations, the world continents and oceans, and major topographical features of the United States. And this learning activities, basically, they're going to go to this 50 state quiz and they're going to take a quiz. And the one who knows the most states will get like extra credit. And if they get lower than if they don't get at least 30 states, I'm going to have them do a map and they can fill in states. But I will fill in the New England states because they're small and it's hard to fill in. And it's also hard to find a map that does those because all the New England states are kind of small, especially Rhode Island. It's like really tiny. So I will fill in those. So some of the smaller states, I'll just have them listed like New Jersey, Delaware, Rhode Island, Maryland, along with the New England states. I mean, they're tiny, so they'll need to be filled in, and I will help give them more detail for the New England states. The section 2 is the Constitution. They will read I will read the Constitution and make notes for the students so that they can know what to do. And this helps with the standard, which is standard 7.2E18. Apply the principle of rule of law, representation, separation of power, checks and balances, and federalism to explain the purposes and functions of the Constitution. So in order to do this, I will have a election in my class. They'll have an election. So I will write them notes on basically what they need to know about the Constitution, term limits, and stuff like that. So we're going to create a government. We're going to do an election, but then we're going to do a government. And this will be so students know how the Constitution is to be used. So if there's a classroom of 27 students, there's going to be one student that will be president, another student will be vice president. For the Congress, 10 students will be in the House of Representatives, and six students will be in the Senate, because this shows that the House is based on population. So if there's more House members, and there's only 6 in the Senate smaller, so that's why there is 10 students that are going to be in the House, and 6 students that are going to serve in the Senate. And then another 6 students will make up this, will create like 6 Supreme Court justices, and the remaining 3 people will serve as a cabinet member. I will encourage one to be Secretary of State, but there's also Secretary of the Defense, Secretary of the Treasury, Secretary of the Interior. There's a ton of secretaries. Those are like cabinet members. And that is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing an election. Excuse me. We're going to be doing an election. But yes, I will encourage one to be Secretary of State, but there's also Secretary of Defense, Secretary of the Treasury, and other cabinet members, and they're all known as secretaries. And so yeah, that is what it is, and this will show the students how the national government works. So the section 3, the third part was a classmates list. I chose Claire Jasper's source because she is also a middle school major, and it's about Civil War culture. And this standard that she was going to use, and I use as well, as trace the event as well as political, cultural, economic, and social conditions leading to conflict between northern and southern states. So this is a good, because this will help me on my standard 3 as well, which was to describe the turning points of the Civil War. And this website will help me achieve this goal because this source goes into like the lives of people in the Civil War and the toll it like took on them and the culture surrounding the Civil War. And that's what this website is about. It's about the Civil War, and it's about living life in the Civil War. So it's a website, so that it's kind of a little bit about the website. So basically, my learning activity for this one is I'm going to have students write a letter back home as a Union soldier. I mean, they could do Confederacy, but for this assignment, I think it'll be better for them to write as a Union soldier, even if they did want to write from the Confederate side. They are going to write from the Union side. And the students are going to write about what their life was like on the battlefield. They can use the website to get ideas, and also they'll learn like how they're gonna do the letter. I will explain a letter that there's a heading and a closing, like dear whoever, right? And a closing like sincerely and then their name, or love and then their name if they're writing it to a family member. So they can decide how they want to close it. And this letter is going to be about how army life is like. And they can talk, for example, they could talk about what if the Union soldiers had the same supplies as the Confederate troops. These are also in the South. So, like, what would be different if the North didn't have that supply advantage, and would they still win the war? And also, what's it like to fight other soldiers? Like in some states, there are families divided by the Civil War, and that's just not. It was a dark moment in American history. And for my source, World Atlas, it's just a awesome atlas that has like detailed maps of all 50 states, all the countries. I think it even has a map of Antarctica. So if you want to see like the topographical map of Antarctica, you could. And that's just why World Atlas is so great because it has everything. It even has detailed ocean. Like World Atlas, it's a print, it's a print source. It's also a online source, great source for geography, one of the best. And of course, the Constitution, the document. This document can be confusing, but overall, I will break it down so students can understand each part of the Constitution and how we use that Constitution today. And then, of course, the website, and it's about this. It is this history.com website that just does an amazing job of just going and explaining what life was like to be in the Civil War. And all three of these sources are amazing and will help students learn these three sources and will have students be able to do all three sources, and this will really help them achieve that goal. And I believe that all three of these sources can do that.